Hey, I'm ZSH Plays, and after 5 years of building in Planet Zoo on this channel, I asked you guys to vote for your top 10 builds of all time, and here they are. The first build we're going to see, number 10 on the list, is the Flying Fox Forest at San Bernardino Zoo. I was so excited to see what you guys were going to vote for from my 30 favorite builds that we've done over the past 5 years, and it's going to be a lot of fun going back to them. We're going to talk about what worked, what didn't work, and what I would change if I was building them now. So as we come in here, we've got the Flying Foxes right up in the top there, as opposed to the little walk-through aviaries that they're normally in. And this whole thing is probably, what, like 10 times the size of a walk-through aviary, something like that. And doing that in franchise mode was not easy, but I think we really succeeded here. So there's one walk-through aviary up there, hidden away amongst all that bamboo. The only thing you can see is this access path here, which we need so that the staff can get up there and feed the bats. If we built this in sandbox mode, we could get rid of that as well. And there's a little leaf insect house in here as well. It's inspired by the Fragile Forest at Singapore Zoo, which is one of the best rainforest houses I've ever been in. And as we come up the path here, you've got bats flying right around you as well, which is exactly how it works at Singapore Zoo. And you really can't see the walkthrough exhibit and the path because of that bamboo. I think that works really nicely. It'd be better if there was more different types of animals in here, but because this was built in San Bernardino Zoo fairly close to the end, I think some of the appropriate animals had already been used in other exhibits. I would have liked to have had a sloth in here, but we already had those in the tropical house. Although, thinking back, I don't know why I didn't just have them in here as well. It's pretty common for zoos to have more than one exhibit for animals. So I probably should have just gone ahead and put a sloth in. I'm really happy that you guys chose this one because it's one of those builds where I really felt like I succeeded in what I was trying to do when I set out to build it. For our next build, we are back in the Moonlight World, the oldest build in the top 10. I am so glad that you guys picked this one because it is without a doubt the silliest build we've ever done on the channel. It's the Tiger Safari at the Moonlight World. It's one of those builds where you don't know if it's going to work at all until it's finished. So this build is designed to be seen at night, and if we switch it to nighttime, get an idea of what this habitat would look like at night, it would be pretty atmospheric. But if we go inside the tiger truck itself, you can see the guests here. They are trapped on one piece of path that's just hidden away under this truck that we made. So let's go inside it. You can see how atmospheric it would be in here. I'm not sure where the tigers are at the moment. But we'll wait for one of them to come in. I put a feeder here. I think this is about as good a recreation of the real experience you could do in Planet Zoo, because the guests being this unhappy because they're trapped on a piece of path, that is basically the only thing that you can do, really. There's no way to get them in here without them telling you that they're stuck. Like I say, it's probably the silliest thing we've ever built, but I'm still pretty happy with it because I'm not sure it could be done any better than this. And when the tigers do come up for their food, I'll show you that now, it does work pretty well. There we go. How much closer to the tigers do you want to be? It still makes me laugh now. If I was going to build this now, I'd definitely put a lot more work into the sort of surroundings in the habitat. If we go back to daytime again, the actual habitat itself is a bit bare bones, really. It's very flat. You can tell that I've put all the work into this little scene here with the truck and the rocks going up to it and the food. The rest of the habitat is kind of plain. And this is an old, I think this was something I built for Tecton Zoo originally. Didn't find a use for it because it was not very good. And then I ended up using it hidden away at the back of the habitat for this. I mean, I don't know what I was thinking here. This is a terrible, terrible shelter. I guess my thinking was that from in the truck or from here, it's just something away in the background. You don't really notice it. But yeah, that's not my best work. Let's move on to the next build. At number 8 on your list is something that, when I built it, might have been my best work. Penguin Cove at San Bernardino Zoo. So this was originally built as just this one massive grey building that you see here. It is basically a direct recreation of Penguin Cove at Bird Paradise in Singapore. Without a shadow of a doubt, the best penguin exhibit I've ever seen. And then later on, we added a little penguin beach exhibit to the front of it. And they tie together really nicely here. Different coloured rocks here to differentiate this one from the main building. But here we go, here's the little penguins. One of the most adorable animals in Planet Zoo, I think. And there's underwater viewing for them on the other side as well. We'll head round to the main building itself. You can see before you get in there what's going on here with the huge underwater viewing windows for king penguins. Would love to have had Gen 2 penguins and rock hoppers in here as well, like they do in the real exhibit. But we don't have those in the game, and we don't use any mods on this channel, so we just stay with the king penguins. A pretty cool view here. And sometimes they pop up through their little flotation thing there, which is really cool. Big pillars of ice with lighting to give them that kind of green hue, if you like. And then there's an upper floor as well, so you can access that via lifts. And these work, or they work as well as any lifts can in Planet Zoo, because behind them is hidden some stairs. So you will see the guests go into the lift, and then they will appear out here. Now you get to see them on the waterline and above the water as well. And there's a little coffee stop here as well. In the real exhibit, it is very, very cold in here. It is chilled to the king penguin's preferred temperatures. Got some northern lights via billboards at the back as well. And this is a recreation that I am really, really happy with. Glad you guys enjoyed it. On to another large mixed species exhibit here. It's from Amazon to Andes at Belmont Zoo. This build is kind of similar to the Tiger Safari in that I wanted to get the guests to do something that they don't normally do in Planet Zoo. But this time I feel like it was an actual success. It worked better than it does in the Tiger Safari. Using the technique here where they're walking across the logs. It's inspired by the rainforest wild area at the Mandai Wildlife Reserve in Singapore, which is kind of like an adventure for the guests featuring the animals. And it uses the trick where you set this up as a walkthrough habitat or an animal encounter, I think it's called. And that means that the guests will walk over any scenery pieces. Getting to do that over water was not easy, but with some pixel perfect placement, we managed to get that to work. And yeah, I just really, really like it in here. I think that's such an interesting feature. We got capuchins in here. Got some of them up on the ropes up there. There's capybara in the water. We got some, there's one. And then we got the Saki monkey in this little area as well. I think they tend to hang around over here. Can't see any at the moment. They can all the animals can go pretty much anywhere really. Oh, little capybara there. Lots of mist in here, which I think really helps to sell the atmosphere. And probably one of the best roofs we've built on the channel as well. Looking back at this build, I'm not sure I'd change anything, to be honest. Really, really happy with it. We've got the mesh here as well that separates this area off from the next part. So we've got sloths up here. No, that's one thing I would change. I made it too small. So going from the Amazon to the Andes, it was supposed to be the Amazon part down there, and then up into the Andes part of it for the spectacled bear. I mean, this is a pretty small bear habitat. There is some more space sort of off show at the back. What I should have done really is just knock that wall through and have this entire upper area for the bear. We could probably have had 2 bears in here as well if we'd done that. Rather than having the sloths in here. I do really like the look of the bear habitat, especially this pile of rockwork and vegetation at the back, and the sloths works really nicely as well. So yeah, really pleased with how the whole thing looks. But if this was a real zoo, I would definitely want the bears to have a lot more space than that. So I would get rid of this sloth habitat and then simply put some sloths into the area down here. Back outside, I was particularly pleased with how it slotted in with the maned wolf and anteater habitats in front of it. But it's time to take our leave of Belmont Zoo, because last year I spent a couple of months creating Tierra del Fuego, a version of an upcoming exhibit at Leipzig Zoo, and you guys voted it your 5th favourite build of all time. This is without a shadow of a doubt one of my favourite things that we have ever built on this channel. Despite how huge it is, I managed to get loads of detail pretty much everywhere in here. Really happy with all this rockwork and foliage on this path. There's nets up in the rocks and things like that. And it all just hangs together really nicely. If I can improve one thing, I would probably have a little bit more variety in the rockwork around here. But believe me, when you're building something this big, especially when you're building it sort of in the background, while still doing the weekly episodes of, I think it was Belmont Zoo we were building at the time, some time saving has to come in somewhere. But I don't think you really notice it. I think it just holds together really well. It's a lot of fun to walk around. And you will finally actually be able to walk around this in real life this year, apparently. Zoo Leipzig should be opening the real Tierra del Fuego at some point this year, within the coming couple of months, I think. So that's really cool. Definitely want to make a return trip there, because it's an amazing zoo already. With this in it, it's going to be even better. Got the seating away up there. There's a like a guest experience thing, so that the guests will actually go and sit up there once a year. And then we got some more viewing into the sea lions here. That's somewhere where the educators could go out and give talks as well, but it also gives the sea lions somewhere to snooze. Pretty busy in here, and we'll make our way round to the tunnel, stopping at the penguin habitat first of all. There they are. Nice view. Get a little bit closer to them down here. I want it to feel like you're sort of almost on the beach. Look at them running past. And then round here, we can go beneath the waves and into the underwater tunnel, which was the centerpiece of this build and probably the most difficult thing that we've ever built on the channel. Had to get some serious help from another Planet Zoo creator, Iben, to advise me on how to get this working without the camera going underwater when you're in here. And here we are. You can see the sea lions swimming around over there. And the penguins over here. Cannot wait for Planet Zoo 2 and the ability to build underwater tunnels properly without having to kind of trick the game. It's going to be so much easier, and it'll look a lot better as well. You can see here the water effects don't really work that well when you're in the tunnel, because the game wasn't designed for you to actually be able to do this. So it's not as immersive as it will be when we build stuff like this in Planet Zoo 2. But yeah, overall, I think it's one of the most successful things that we've ever built. Next up is what I think is probably the best recreation of a real building that we've done on the channel ever, I think. It's based on one of the birdhouses at Artis Zoo in Amsterdam, which I first saw a few years ago, and it immediately became my favourite, probably zoo building I've ever seen, or certainly one of them. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I'd been looking for an excuse to build it ever since. And when the America's Animal Pack came out, I was either struggling to think of where to put the ocelot, or maybe I just decided it was time to build this habitat, and the ocelot was the most fitting animal in the pack to go in there. Obviously, with the lack of birds in Planet Zoo, building a birdhouse is always going to be quite limiting species-wise. But I figured if I built it bigger than the original, it might make a successful ocelot habitat. It's filled with all sorts of... Oh, there he is. It's filled with all sorts of foliage, so that it'd have lots of opportunities to hide. And there's loads of climbing, which ocelots like. So I figured it'd be a decent little home for this little guy. These vines here, he can climb to get up into these trees. This little sleeping platform, he never seems to go onto that. I remember placing him on there manually to get a shot of him up there. That's just one of the things that happens in Planet Zoo. It looks like it should work, but for whatever reason it doesn't. And as my favorite building, probably nothing that I would change about this. I was building it again now. If I remember correctly, this standoff barrier wasn't there when we first built it. Got a lot of comments saying that allowing people to get, you know, this close if the standoff barrier wasn't here to an ocelot, which does have claws and teeth, wasn't that good an idea? Which I definitely agreed with. So ended up putting the standoff barrier in. But yeah, works really well. At number 4 on your list, we are back in San Bernardino Zoo for the Panda Garden. I'm really glad you guys voted this as high as you did, because this is easily one of the most difficult things that we have ever built on the channel. All of the shapes that you see here are just made out of tiny little plaster pieces. It's all kind of curves and circles, and some of them are not actually circles. They're a more complicated shape, which is an absolute nightmare to build, like this bit that kind of curves down here. Oh man, it was such a nightmare to build, but I was really pleased with the final result. It's based on the Living Seas exhibit at Epcot, which I think is the Nemo and Friends exhibit now. And then on the inside, it's a mixture of all sorts of different panda habitats that I've seen. So we've got giant pandas down here. There's one now. You can see a little bit of the wood chipping path there. And I originally built the entire thing out of that. It looked amazing. But unfortunately, it really screws with the animal's ability to walk around the habitat. The navigation gets all screwed up if you do that. So I had to delete it and just use some of the normal mud textures. And I've tried to mix in bits of path where they don't need to walk and rocks and stuff, just to try and make it a bit more interesting looking. I'm still pretty pleased with how it looks in here. But it doesn't look as good as it did when I first built it. But, you know, we need the animals to actually be able to move, so I got rid of most of those parts. If we follow it around here, we come to the red panda part of the habitat, which I tried to make look as different to the giant panda part as possible. So it's got much more of a sort of temperate vibe in here. Got loads of trees, which I've sort of shrunk down into the ground. Well, I haven't shrunk them down. You can't scale things in Planet Zoo. I've sunk them down into the ground to get them small enough to have in here. I think we just about get away with that. And then some more of these climbing platforms to ensure the red pandas are visible. There's one now. Some skylights in here as well. Bring in a really nice kind of pools of light. Got a hidden staff door over there. And then if we go back around here, you get the main viewing into the giant pandas. Designed again so that they spend as much time as possible up on these ramps, although unhelpfully they aren't doing that now. Don't know where the other panda is. And all sorts of upside down trees in here as well, down there to get the effect of those roots. I like the water feature in the background as well. I've forgotten about that. Oh, there's the panda. They're asleep. Roof's pretty cool in here as well. Like I say, one of the toughest things that I've ever tried to build, but well worth the time spent on it. At number 3 on your list, we are at the water terraces at San Bernardino Zoo for one of the first things we built in the zoo, the Tree Frog Oasis. This whole area of San Bernardino Zoo is probably still my favorite thing that we've ever built on the channel. Just all the curves in here and the way it all hangs together. Just think it works really nicely. And this was one of the first things that we built in this area, the Tree Frog Oasis. And you guys obviously enjoyed this one. As we walk along here, little glitch there. That's the hidden plants that keeps the peafowl in here, which I thought would be a nice addition to it. And then we get to the exhibits themselves. It's definitely one of my favorite exhibit builds. It's absolutely massive. Got all 3 of the tree or poison frogs in the game in here. I was especially pleased with the waterfall in the middle, with all the mist and the plants. This was definitely the best planting that I'd ever done at the point of this. What was that? I think this was episode 2 of San Bernardino Zoo. I got really inspired by all the tropical planting that I was seeing in other people's zoos, and decided to, seeing as we were in California for this zoo, to try and get some much more lush planting going along. I mean, it would take a lot of water to keep this alive in Southern California. It's practically a desert. But hey, San Bernardino had a big budget, and quite happy to splash the water about here. And it just looks really nice. Still very happy with it. And just a few 100 meters away from this build, is the entrance to San Bernardino Zoo itself, which caused me more trouble than you can possibly imagine. So here we are at your second favourite build of all time on the channel, the entrance to San Bernardino Zoo. I'm not particularly surprised that this was this high. It's something I'm still very proud of. I think it was pretty unique with all the reward statues sunk into the wall, inspired by a part of the entrance to Singapore Zoo. Although I do remember when we built this, I managed to somehow spell San Bernardino Zoo wrong on the sign. I think I missed out like either the first or the second R in Bernardino, and didn't notice it until approximately 4 billion of you pointed it out in the comments a few minutes after the video was released. Wow, that was embarrassing. It was even worse because I was actually on holiday at the time, so I couldn't even sort of go back and change it. So for the first sort of few days that this was out, not only was the sign spelt wrong, but the thumbnail as well, which was not ideal. As soon as I got back, I updated that and changed it. Oh, I'd forgotten about these. I like these sort of animated zoo logos there. So yeah, that's definitely one change I would make if I could go back and do it again. But pretty happy with the car park in here. This was one of those builds that I just came back to about 1,000 times to keep adding details in it to try and get it to feel like a car park, or a coach park, I guess I should say. Got the lifts here, which are a blueprint by another creator called Shifty, and then hidden away behind them are the stairs so that the guests will actually use the lifts. And that brings us out here into the top level with Iguana Falls in the background, and then a few sort of food and drink things here. And then a look out across the whole of the water terraces here. One of my favourite things about this zoo was having this view gradually get filled in as we built it over the course of the 18 months or so that we spent working on this zoo. Started off with just a little flamingo habitat and ended up with this huge expanse of zoo that you can see from here, right the way back through the night house. You got Penguin Cove and the Flying Fox Forest away in the background there, and our Australian area. And it probably won't be a surprise that we're going to be remaining in this area for your top build of all time, so let's go and check that out now. Yes, the most popular video on the channel is also your favourite build of all time, the Flamingo Pool. Little did I know when I built this what it would do to our channel and what it would do to my life, to be honest. I was very much doing this in my spare time whilst working when I started building this. And now I get to do this all the time, which is pretty awesome, so thank you guys so much for watching. Still happy with this build, I think. I remember doing a few little bits to it here and there over the course of this series, adding in some bit more cover for the flamingos. For some reason I always get comments saying the water's too deep for them, which I never really understand, because you can clearly see that they are walking in the water as flamingos like, and it's only at the very front of the habitat in this bit here where it becomes deep enough for them to swim. The only thing I would change about this is to get rid of the bug in the game, which means that for some reason this feeder here should be coloured like this to exactly fit into the surrounding rocks, but every time you load into the map it goes back to being grey again. Not sure what's happening there. I think it's because I had to put this in and then put the water in around it rather than the other way around. Technically it's too close to the water for Planet Zoo to be happy, so it seems to confuse the game a bit, which is where that bug comes from. I guess that shelter at the back's a bit bare bones as well. Maybe that could do with a little bit of work. Overall, I'm not going to have too many issues with the most popular thing I've ever done. Thank you guys so much for voting on the Discord. And if you want to get a bit more involved in the channel, then there's a link to the Discord in the description. But thank you so much to all of you who voted. It was fascinating to see what your favourite builds of all time were. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again soon for some more Planet Zoo. Bye.